Hi sweeties, welcome to my channel. Today we are making some soft buns. Guys, trust me, this is like the easiest recipe ever. I know it looks like it's a bit complicated, right? Well, it's as easy as it looks. I know it looks so yummy. So come, let me teach you how I make this so that you get the right consistency and the right thing. So in your bowl you're gonna go in with 3.5 cups of flour, but I'm doing double measurements. So if I'm saying 3.5 cups of flour, that means I'm going with 7 cups of flour, right? And then you're gonna use a half cup of sugar. Listen, 3.5 cups of flour and half cup of sugar. So me, I'm gonna use 7 cups of flour and 1 full cup of sugar, right? And then if you're making this, you always have to melt your butter. Please make sure that you always melt your butter, because if you don't, the effect, like, it will not really come out the right way. Okay, of course it's gonna still puff up and everything, but it won't be really as yummy as it's supposed to be. So always make sure that if you're making bread, you melt your butter. Okay, don't use like room temperature butter. Okay, so there it is. My 7 cups of flour is already complete. I'm gonna now add my half cup of sugar. That makes it 1 cup of flour of sugar complete, right? So always remember, if you're making bread, it's your dry ingredients first before you start putting your wet ingredients. Then I'm using teaspoon of salt, half teaspoon of salt, right? And guys, this is like completely and like entirely optional. I always like to use just 1 teaspoon of baking powder as well. I feel like it really makes a difference. But if you don't like it, if you don't want to use it, or if you don't have it, rather, don't worry, because everything is gonna still come out looking the same. Then after putting my half teaspoon of baking powder, I'm gonna now put 2 full teaspoons of yeast, but I'm using half a teaspoon here. This, my measuring spoon, is half a teaspoon. That is why I'm putting it 4 times. So remember, it is 7 cups of flour, 1 cup of sugar, half a teaspoon salt, half a teaspoon baking powder or 1 teaspoon baking powder, then 2 teaspoons of yeast, right? So that's it, guys. Then you mix that together. That is all your dry ingredients together. So once you have that together, you mix it together, right? So make sure that everything that you are using here, guys, you must always do prep for your stuff before you start cooking. I'm gonna use 2 eggs here because I'm using 7 cups of flour. If I was using 3.5 cups of flour, I would have used only 1 egg, but because I'm using 2, so I'm using 7 cups, I'm gonna use 2. So remember, you always have to use vanilla essence for your bread. That is like the standard in the whole world. But guys, I have this obsession with coconut flavor. I don't know, anything I do, I like to use coconut flavor. Even for my scones, I use coconut flavor all the time. And also, please note, your milk always has to be warm, right? You always have to make sure that your milk is warm, and you use active yeast, or even if you're using dry yeast, really. But always make sure that your milk is warm, so that it will just fast forward the process of it rising. Okay, so you mix that together. And the last thing, remember that when we started, we melted our butter. So that melted butter is the last ingredient that you're gonna put. After this, you now fold your flour in together before you start kneading it. So this is your melted butter. I'm gonna put 1 cup. That's a lot. It's supposed to be actually 8 tablespoons of butter, but like my own is probably like 10, because I'm like doing it for myself, so I might as well make it just really rich. I'm not really managing the ingredients. So that's it, guys. Everything is mixed together now. I'm just folding it in here, then I'm gonna start kneading it. So the real work of bread is actually in that kneading process. So if you can, but this video is particularly for people that don't have a hand mixer. They don't have a mixer, right? So if you're doing it manually, this is how it's done. But if you're using a mixer, it's the same thing. You put in your ingredients inside your mixer, and then you let the mixer do the work for you, right? But if you're using your hand, this is how you do it. So you dust off your counter where you're gonna knead your flour. This is just like my working space, so I always make sure that I clean it very well with vinegar and everything to kill all the germs, and before I start doing anything. So remember, the kneading is the real work. If you don't go to gym, this is your gym for the day, because you're gonna knead for like good 20 to 30 minutes. So that's a lot of work until the flour is elastic, guys. I was here for like a very long time. Even the person that was taking me video was already saying, "Ah, I'm tired. This thing doesn't end." So this is what it's supposed to look like when you have really kneaded very well. Your flour is supposed to be looking like this, like elastic, like, like rubber. I don't even know how to call it. Like elastic, actually, like supposed to be like almost see through. Your flour shouldn't be breaking. It should, should look like this, like paper. So if not, if you need after you knead finish, you must always check your flour. You need to check if it's elastic. If it's not elastic, just know that you've not really gotten there. So after I kneaded my flour, I kept the dough. Need to keep it to rise to double size, but I left mine because I was busy, so I just left it for like extra 10 minutes and the thing was already full. That's how active yeast works, guys, with warm milk. Like, it's so fast, right? So already I already greased my baking pan with butter. Then now I'm working on the measurements. So the measurements, actually, how I cut my own, I just divide everything into two until I get the right number for my tray. Or if not, if you have a scale, a measuring scale in the house, you can make sure that it's 80 grams or 75 grams, right? Depending on the size of your pan, actually. It depends on the size of your pan, right? So that's it, guys. I'm gonna glaze it with my egg. I glaze it with only one egg, nothing complicated, but the effect is always a wow something, right? So you glaze it with one egg. This is how you do it, very fast and easy and economic. So you just try to make sure that you are making everything economic. You do everything that is economic, but without really robbing a bank. But your stuff must really come out good, okay? That's what we call being a house chef. Guys, my family, my husband, my children, they are so lucky because I love cooking and I love making different food all the time. So we are always having different food here. So you leave it to rise after you've already cut your measurements and put it in the baking tray. You leave it to rise until it looks like this. Then before you put it in the oven, it's so beautiful. I mean, look at that. Already you can see the shape before the thing is that it starts to bake, right? You can already see the outcome before you even, what I'm saying. So there it is. Look at that. Isn't that satisfying? I think it's really satisfying. So please make sure you subscribe to my channel and make sure you become one of my besties, because I post recipes every day. I cook and I bake, right? Thank you for watching and thank you for sticking around. Make sure you leave a comment for me and you like. Okay, see you on my next video, because you're already a bestie. If you made it to the end of this video, make sure that you join the group and subscribe. Thank you so much, besties. I love you all. Bye.